Okay, moving on to the earthquake part of our report tonight. The number of earthquakes are increasing around the globe. On USGS here, for the last 24 hours, we're seeing 2,119 earthquakes worldwide of all magnitudes. Of those, 119 are 2.5 magnitude and higher, and most of these 2019 are in the, I'm calling it the event area in Southern California that we've been talking about. Now, if we look at that area right here, we've got 1,757 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. Now this morning I took a screenshot of this area, and this was at 9:06 this morning, and there were 1,930 earthquakes worldwide, and there were 1,653 in this area. So what we're seeing is that the number of earthquakes have picked up, because now it's 1,757, and that's since this morning. And so they're coming off the map. I've explained this. You know, the old ones are coming off the map, like here's this 3.2 at Little Lake that came in at 5:57 last night. Now that's going to be coming off the map any time now. And so as fast as they're coming off the map, new ones are coming in, and they're coming in faster in order to have a higher number. But the number of 2.5 magnitude and higher have gone way down, so the majority of these new ones are under 2.5 magnitude is what that's showing. So another thing that's happening is Dutch Sense posted this on his Twitter page. You can go here, and it's a link to the this article from CNN. California earthquake created a massive crack in the earth visible in satellite images. And here's a picture. This is before. This is a satellite image of the desert there, and here it is after, and we can see the crack showing up. It goes all the way across. It starts here, and it actually joins up with the previous crack. So you can find that on his Twitter page, and he did a video about it last night, and I posted that on my Facebook page and also on my Subscribestar page. So things are shaking apart, and you know, we're just here watching everything. So let's start with these international earthquakes. Let's see if there's something about to come off the map. Let's start down here in Argentina. This might have been, I might have reported this last night. I think I did at the end, but I don't remember if I did or not, so we might have a little bit of overlap. There was a 4.7 that happened near Los Ovejas, Argentina at 6:07 last night, 149 kilometers deep. And these times I'm going to be telling you are Pacific time, because that's my time zone. We just had a new one come in Guatemala on land of 4.3 near La Gomera, Guatemala at 5:07 this afternoon, 68 kilometers deep. Then down here in the South Pacific, we've had a 5.2 in the ocean near Raoul Island, New Zealand. This came in at 8:11 last night, and a 4.7, same reporting station, a little bit north, right on the red line, at 7:28 this morning. Then we've had what's going on here? Okay, we've been seeing these here. Here's a 4.5 near Tobelo, Indonesia. This came in at 1:19 this afternoon. And then we've got 3 on land in the Philippines of 5.6 near Dolo at 5:37 this morning, a 4.9 at 7:12 this morning, and a 4.9 at 8:31 this morning, both at Magsaysay. Coming on up, we have another one in this Sea of Okhotsk. This is in Russian territory. Here's a 5.5. They're calling it near Dolinsk, Russia. This happened at 4:33 this morning. It was very deep, 437 kilometers deep. Now, where the Rykoki volcano happened was not too far from here, is right over here in the Kuril Islands, right over here in this area. Then there was one off the coast of Kamchatka, 4.3 at 12:14 this afternoon. This is right at the end of the Aleutian Islands. Then there was a 3.3 near Lake Sourian, Greece at 8:49 last night. It's in the Mediterranean Sea there. So those are the international earthquakes that we're seeing. So now if we go to all magnitude, let's come on over to Hawaii. We've got 6 here today, 0.7, Kilauea 3.5. Now that's in the ocean off the coast of Pahala. Here's a 0.7 at Mauna Loa. Here's a 2.7 Kilauea, 1.8 Kilauea, and a 1.9 Pahala. So the highest one was this one in the ocean. And then Over here in the Caribbean, we're seeing 18 here today. I'll just call them off. 1.2, 1.9, 1.6, 1.4, 2.5, 2.9, 2.0, 2.8, 2.0, 1.3, 1.6, 2.4, 1.6, 1.9, 1.8, 3.0, 1.7, and 1.3. So those are, we're seeing more on land here at Puerto Rico. They're not big enough to do damage, but we're definitely seeing movement here. Now let's come on up to Alaska, and we're having a hard time kind of maneuvering through because there's so many earthquakes that have to load up. And when you come on to USGS for all magnitudes, there's a warning that comes up, and it says, you know, it might overload your system. You have to say, that's okay, let's go ahead and do it, in order to get this many earthquakes, in order to show 2,122 earthquakes. I've never seen anything like this. I never have. And, well, I haven't been reporting earthquakes that long, just since December. And I don't really forecast on earthquakes or sea ice or anything like that. So people ask me, you know, do I think it's all, we're going to have a blue ocean event next week? It can happen anytime. But that's not what I do. So here in Alaska, we're showing 103 earthquakes. So right down here, we've got the largest ones. We had a 5.4 near Nikolsky. This was at 11:43 this morning. And then then we had a 2.0, 2.6, 2.0, and a 3.7, and a 2.5. So we've had 6 right here. So that's the largest one we've seen up here in a while, this 5.4. Then here was a 2.7 at Atka. Then we're going to come on up, and here in the Cook Inlet, we're seeing a few, not huge though. Here's a 3.1 at Big Lake near Anchorage. So if we zoom in, this is what it looks like. They're just peppered around. So we're definitely seeing activity, and it's 2.6 redoubt, 2.4 redoubt. That's a volcano, by the way. 0.7, 1.3. This was, they're saying other event, whatever that is. At Nikiski, it's right next to redoubt at 0 kilometer depth. So at the surface they had another event at 3:40 this morning. Here's an icequake, a 1.7 near Valdez. Here's a 1.9 Cape Yakataga. Here's a 1.1 Valdez, and so on. You get the idea. Here's a 2.2 Badger. So there's a couple at Tanana. Here's Kobuk. Let's see how many we've got here today. We've got 39 here today, so that's an uptick Most of them are 1s and under. It looks like this 2.4 is the highest, and then there's a 2.2, and the rest are 1s and under. Then let's come on up. Okay, in the northern part we've got 2.3. This is at Koktovik, 2.3, 2.5, 1.4, 1.8, and 1.9. And then we've got some more coming on down. Here's a 2.2 Badger, and so on. Now, how many of these were 2.5 magnitude or higher is what we want to know. There were 11 that were 2.5 magnitude or higher, so that's an uptick. So I missed. Okay, so over here at Kobik we had a 2.6 and a 3.0. I missed that going through the list. So, 2.5 Arctic Village. So we've got a 3.1 Big Lake, 2.5 Big Lake, and a 2.6 Redoubt. And we already saw these down here. And a 2.7 at Atka. So things are moving. That's just, you know, things are definitely moving. The magma is on the move. The earthquakes are opening up the plates. The magma is coming up at the weak points, and old volcanoes are coming back to life. So don't be surprised at anything that happens. Just be prepared for anything that happens. Here in Oklahoma, we've got 24 today. We've got a whole bunch at Kingfisher right here. So let's zoom in and just take a peek. 2.4 Quentin. Here's a 1.4 at Cushing. 2.1 Perry, 1.8 Perry, 1.7 Wycomius, 2.3 Helena, and 1.7 Helena, or Helena, however you say it. And now let's go to Kingfisher, and we've got 17 here today. And they're high ones and in the 2s range. 2.6 it looks like is the highest. 2.5, 2.4, 2.4. So this is probably a place that they've been drilling, and so there are a lot of weak points. And so wherever there have been weak points, punch holes in the crust with the drilling and the fracking and everything, that's where you're going to see activity come up whenever there's pressure. And so this started last night at 6:38 last night, and the last one was at 2:33 this afternoon. Is that going to be it? I don't know, but you know, we'll report on them. We'll keep on reporting. Whatever we see, we'll report it. Coming on across. See if... Okay, Texas is clear today. Now let's zoom on into Utah. We've got a 1.2 at Fairview and a 1.0 at Salina. And then coming on up into Yellowstone area. We're seeing 11 here today. .6 Dillon, 0.8 at Lima, 1.4 Manhattan, 1.6 West Yellowstone, 1.2 Chalice, 1.9 Victor, 2.4 Manhattan, 1.3 Manhattan, 2.3 Manhattan, 0.5 West Yellowstone, and a 1.4 Manhattan. So we had a cluster right there at Manhattan. So that's what's going on at Yellowstone. Then up here in the Pacific Northwest, we've got 66. Oh my gosh. I had looked at this earlier and it was not like this. And we've got a huge cluster coming in right here at Mount Hood. So let's cover these others first. Here's a 1.0 Packwood, minus 0.1 Amboy, and a 0.8 at Carson. And this Amboy is Mount St. Helens volcano. And this is Mount Hood is a volcano as well. So if we look at let's look at the tremor map real quick. This is from yesterday. This is the latest data. We've got 109 epicenters. This is from July the 8th. We've got them clustered at the north end of Vancouver Island and just near Seattle, near that bay area. And that's all we've got. That's it. So now let's zoom in, and we've got 68, and this is, I showed this yesterday. We saw a few here. What was it? I can't remember how many yesterday. But we've got 63 now. And it's at the base of the volcano. So this is swarming, and this is something to watch, definitely. So these are like, here's a 1.9. Here's a 2.0, 2.0, 2.0, 2.1, 2.1. Most of them were under 2. They're like low ones. And most of them were around 3.5 to 4 kilometers deep. And I was watching Dutch Census report that came out this afternoon, and he was looking at this, and that's where that's the level of the magma chamber. So that's striking right at the level, the epicenter of these earthquakes, are where the depth of the magma chamber. So it's showing. In my mind, it's showing that the magma is coming up. So all this pressure is causing things to happen, and all the magma to move, and the plates to move, and all of that. So here we can see our red lines are back today. This is the Cascadia subduction zone. This is the Juan de Fuca plate. This is the Pacific Plate. This line is the San Andreas Fault line. And this is a very crucial point here where these three plates come together. You have a lot of pressure, and we're showing some activity here today. We've got 5 here today. We've got a 1.8, and these are all considered Petrolia. That's the reporting station. A 3.0, that's on land. A 1.9, 1.5, and then a 2.9 out here on the Juan de Fuca Plate. So that's quite a bit of activity. The 3.0 and the 2.9 are definitely, those are getting up there. Down here in Northern California, we've got a 2.1 at Redwood Valley and a 2.7 Lake Pillsbury. This is at a minus depth, a negative 0.2 kilometer depth, so that means the epicenter is up in the mountain. Here's a 1.4 Exoda Bay. It looks like it's in the water there, right on the little coastline there. 1.2 Hidden Valley Lake. This is the geysers. Let's see what we've got. We've got 34 here today. So that's kind of an average number during the week. 1.5, it looks like the highest. Most of these are under 1. Coming on across, that's all we see in Northern California right there. Coming across to the Reno area, here's a minus 0.1 at Cold Springs. Here's a 0.7 at the northwest end of Pyramid Lake. It's actually in the lake there. Coming across northern Nevada, we're seeing activity. Here's a 2.2 near Carlin. We had a 1.6 near Carlin and a 2.7 right down here at Austin. So that's definitely, we're seeing an uptick here. And then, let's see, what's this? A 0.6 at Ely. We've got a couple at Hawthorne, a 0.8 and a 0.6. And down in southern Nevada, just across the border from California, we're seeing 4 near Beatty. The largest one is this 2.0 and 1.3. But I kind of would expect to see more in southern Nevada, but it looks like they're getting hung up here in the event area. Let's come on down. Get some of my tea. Here we've got a 0.9 Bridgeport, 1.9 Bodie, and a 1.1 Bridgeport. This is at Mono Lake. And then at Mammoth Lake, we're seeing 10 here today. So this is clustering. There's a 2.9 at Tom's Place. I'm going to call these off. 2.1, 0.9, 1.7, 2.9, 1.8, 1.6, 1.5, 0.7, 1.5, and a 0.8. So Oh, that's the event area. We're going to cover that last. Let's come on over and come down this San Andreas fault line. Here's a 1.5 Gilroy, 1.9 Tres Pinos, 2.4 Grapevine, 2.1 Mountain Club, 1.6 Grapevine, 2.1 Rancho Palos Verdes, Baja is clear. So we're gonna, okay, not counting the event, we've got 40 here in the Los Angeles and San Diego, Southern California area. We've got 40 down here. Okay, we'll get that one when we get done here. Of those, we've got a 2.6 near Brawley. This is south of the Salton Sea. So the rest of these are under 2.5. 2.5 magnitude. Here's one up 2.3 Bombay Beach. So this is, you know, this is kind of average for what we normally see down here in this LA region. And they're not very big. 1.3. This is Glen Avon. Not many there, just a few there. They're pretty small. So nothing really eventful down here. I'm glad we haven't seen any quarry blasts today. That just bothers me. Oh, I spoke too soon. Here's a 1.8 magnitude quarry blast at Boron. Here's a 1.7 bodfish. So what we see here today in this event area, which is the Searles Valley and Ridgecrest, and you can't even see the names of the places now because it's all covered up with the earthquakes. And Coso Junction is up here. That's the big another big volcanic field. We're seeing it spread out, definitely. So let's go back. Here was the picture from this morning. And here's the picture now. Well, here's the same. I mean, this is the same screen as what I took a picture of this morning. So we can slide it over. And you can see how it's filling in even more. There were more areas where you could kind of see the ground through it, but look, you just can't even see the ground. So this is what's happening. And we have a lot in the ones range, but we've got like 2.5. We've got a lot of them in. Now here it is, 2.5 magnitude or higher. Here's a 2.9 at Coso Junction, 2.7. Here's a 4.1. That's one of the larger ones. This just came in. This is at Coso Junction. This just came in at 5:48 this afternoon at 0.5 kilometers depth. So that was very shallow. Here's a 2.8 Olancha. That's a little bit north of Coso Junction. So we can see that the larger ones are along the rift line where it's opening up. The ground is literally opening up. And there have been people coming out and warning people in California to leave, and if you feel so inclined, you feel so inclined. But my experience is, here's a 3.1 at Little Lake. Here's a 3.0 Little Lake. So here's a 3.5 Searles Valley. Here's a 3.5 Little Lake. My experience has been, it's really hard for people to just pick up and go, and unless they have an evacuation order. Here's a 3.5. Even then it's hard for them to leave. I mean, you see people with hurricanes coming, and they say, no, I'm gonna stay, and if I die, I die. This is my land, this is my property, I'm gonna tough it out. And then other people will evacuate, and it depends on the person and what they feel led to do. And so I feel like there's the fact that we're seeing these earthquakes now, it's 2,124 in the map, worldwide, and in the map area here it's 1,763, and we can see them popping up as we speak. We're all gonna die sometime, and considering about climate change, and what Guy McPherson has said, and the Blue Ocean event that's probably gonna come pretty soon, and if it doesn't happen this year, it'll happen next year or the year after. But we're seeing all the crazy weather and everything, and the Cascadia subduction zone could go, Yellowstone could go. I mean, we're on the edge of some very, very, very catastrophic things happening as the dominoes start falling here. And so, people really just have to make up their own minds and use their own judgment as to what they're going to do and how they're going to deal with things. And but I think we need to be spiritually prepared more than anything. So we're showing 1,763 here, and as of 9:06 this morning it was 1,653. So that's 110 more than this morning. So that's it for the earthquake report.